we're going to continue on from Setting Sail for Graduation Day. This is a channeling by Quo, channeled through L&L Research on September the 5th, 1996. Quo states, "We encourage each, when thinking about the right use of time, to remember to consider before all else whether the self is tuned in to match the vibration of love. Each feels this constant within, and we would pause for a moment at this time to allow each person to move into the heart, to move the attention into that place within which is the metaphysical equivalent of the heart, the green ray energy center. Here is the seat of love coming into the created body. Here is that holy of holies where love dwells fully, undistorted and pure. Moving into this sacred place within, open the heart and feel the love of the one infinite creator. Like the sun lights up the sky, the creator rests in full strength within you, lighting your way. The key that opens the door into your own sacred heart is silence, a turning within to listen to the silence. And this habit of turning within, of centering first upon the creator, which is love, shall stand each in very good stead as each attempts to seek the truth of its own being and its journey." Beautiful, beautiful channeling there by Quo. I shall talk more about using silence to enter the open heart in Living the Law of One, 103. Oh, I knew she was going to say that. The inner work. For now, in this first bullet volume of my report on Confederation teachings, the bare concept of that silence is always a key to opening the door to that inner heart is sufficient. I often think, as I read through this book, my God, I wish those books had been here. I would love to have read these, especially 103, The Inner Work. To continue, silence is powerful for the uppercase player. There is much more information in silence than in our words. When we think or hear words, we know that it is a human wisdom speaking. When we focus into the silence, we can trust that it is the creator and all the focus of spirit, and for all the forces of spirit even speaking, in thoughts too deep for words. Yeah, it's true. When you go into that inner place in deep silence, that is beyond words. You cannot come back out and translate that. Some things are beyond words, and that inner silence is beyond words. These thoughts are going right into our hearts and giving them huge amounts of light-filled information. We do not hear it. We feel it. We feel its strength and its restorative power. We feel the unconditional love that is embedded in that silence. When the mind stops, the creator is right there. Yeah, profoundly true. We do not have to meditate formally in order to enter the silence. We can go fishing and listen to the water. We can play golf on the quiet links. We can take a walk in nature and let birds' calls and the croak of frogs decorate our silence. We can exercise, taking the earphones off, leaving the iPod behind, and letting the silence feed us as we go. We can turn off the television and abandon the internet. For a minute or two, we can just sit and invite the silence. In case of emergency, a moment of silence, sought sincerely, will do its good work within us, restoring us to remembrance. The Confederation encourages us to see all of our lives as sacred, all of our experiences as offering ways to live the life of a player. We can play the game of life as we go, grabbing our silence by the moment if we must, whether we have access to leisure right to this moment or not. And that it is a good thing, for we are all short on time, not just in terms of living crowded lives, but also in terms of nearing the end of third density. As I write this, our third density light is waning. After 2012, the emergence of fourth density light will be complete. Those who have already made their choice by then are in good shape. There is enough third density light left for the work for further polarization and graduation. But for those who have drifted unawakened to the world of spirit during this incarnation and have never made that first choice, it is a different story. People with only third density active bodies will no longer have the amount of third density light needed to make their initial choice. If they are still unpolarized after the onset of fourth density, it is likely that they shall be permanently baffled by the outer picture during their present life, to the point where they will choose to retreat to simpler times and confine their thoughts to the beginning energies of third density, protection and defense of one's clan, and conserving the clan's resources. Indeed, the outer picture shows that many among us have already reverted to these values, to the exclusion of entering their own hearts and seeing the oneness of all. The Confederation encourages us to have faith that all is well. If you are reading this book, then you are already in the midst of awakening and choosing to become a uppercase player. Opening the heart is not a long course. It can be done very quickly. In a way, the situation that we face can be imagined as if we were in a chemistry class. It is as though our souls were dissolved within the laboratory beakers here in third density, beakers in which there are two upper sprouts and a lower reservoir. We, as souls, enter this lower reservoir at birth. As we work with our catalyst and make choices in service to others, we begin to collect our soul liquid into the right-hand upper sprout. If we make sufficient choices in service to self, on the other hand, our essence will instead rise and be collected into the upper left sprout. Either way, we are progressing in polarization. So what Cal is saying is it doesn't really matter as far as the one infinite creator is concerned, as long as in this duality-based polarized universe we make a choice and definitely go for either service to self or service to others, then we have made our choice. But it's 95% or more service to self for the negative polarity, and it's 51% or more of your life spent in service to others to polarize to the positive polarity. So to continue, by the end of our incarnations, the essence of the uppercase players among us will be contained in one of the upper two sprouts. The essences of these who have made or never made the choice of polarizing, either in service to others or in service to self, will remain in the lower reservoir, ready to be recycled again. When, in the fullness of time, our physical death invites us to the harvest of third density, we, uppercase players who have polarized sufficiently to be contained within one of the upper sprouts, will walk the steps of light and graduate to fourth density, either positive or fourth density negative. When the non-players, those essences who are still in the lower reservoir, pass through the gates of death into larger life and walk the steps of light, they will remain within its present density. They are blinded by the light. This is not a tragedy. If we do not graduate in the third density harvest, we will soon find ourselves in new physical bodies placed on another third density planet for a repetition of this third density cycle. That's a master cycle of 76 to 77,000 years. We shall repeat third grade, as it were, in this cosmic school of souls. This is what I've been shown as well. The Confederation speaks neither of heaven nor hell, but simply the soul's natural evolution. That's what I've channeled as well. They do not describe a final and ultimate ending for us as souls when our bodies die. They see us as citizens of eternity. Yep. The graduates who have been harvested in fourth density positive during this period will most likely remain on Earth. Planet Earth is already vibrating almost entirely in fourth density positive. It is in fourth density positive now completely. In the early sub-octave of fourth density, the very early sub-octave. Those few who graduate to fourth density negative will go elsewhere for their fourth density experience. Yeah, they'll go to another negatively polarized fourth density planet. We, uppercase players, will take Earth's stage once again for the beginning of days of fourth density. I've been shown that rarely do souls who are of Earth leave the Earth. You choose to stay with the Earth to help your friends and family. For the old souls who've been here for a long time, for the wanderers who've only been here for a few incarnations, you might want to go back to your home worlds, wherever they were, before you came here. There's many millions of wanderers, many hundreds of millions of wanderers here on Earth right now, and many hundreds of millions of volunteers who are also wanderers in many respects. These are the indigo children, the crystal children, etc. Becoming adepts. This is a quote channeled through L&L Research on February the 19th, 2003. Quote states, resting upon the energy of the open heart, it is then that the discipline of the personality begin. As we uppercase players seek to bring ourselves ever more into the inner hearts, we become adepts. The word adept has a secret occult ring to it. By the way, occult just means hidden. And yet, it is a natural outgrowth for the uppercase player's progress of making conscious choices to increase polarity, and it is a practical, down-to-earth process, as well as one which calls for inner work. We uppercase players become adepts as we apply fourth density positive values, such as compassion and seeing others as ourselves, to the circumstances of our everyday lives. No group manifests the truth of this more than our growing indigo population. There are many uppercase players who have recently died, according to the Confederation, who have graduated to fourth density positive already, and they have all chosen to return to third density Earth, their souls, energy bodies linked to their dual activated physical bodies. Their physical bodies can still exist in third density, but they can also exist in fourth density. The Quo group says about them, Quo states, as the interpenetrating energies of green ray buffet this planet more and more, the challenge is to all entities is to be able to face the truth of themselves clearly and straightforwardly. Double activated entities have a head start in being able to become completely honest with themselves. This creates an atmosphere in which they may be more calm and serene under conditions which may seem challenging. We have come to call these children indigo children or crystal children, among other terms. Yeah, rainbow children is another term. What's the other one? Slips my mind anyway. We will continue. I believe that the great majority of all the children being born now are indigos. I've been shown that as well. Indigos and wanderers, which are the same thing, really. For them, the veil is quite thin. Some of them, like Neo, can bend spoons by mentally requesting that they bend, or do other seemingly miraculous tricks, but indigos are not usually interested in such impractical demonstrations. They're focused on solutions. They're focusing on helping the Earth and helping awaken humanity. And many of the indigo children now are coming in with their memory intact from past lives, and they're telling their mums and dads, their parents, and the parents don't believe them. And their parents put them on Ritalin and antidepressants and whatever, and they think that their kids are going crazy, but they're not. This is real. They're really remembering their past lives. They come in without the veil, don't forget, or the veil's very, very thin anyway. Many of them come in with full memory of their past life or past lives. To continue, but indigos are not usually interested in such practical demonstrations. I've read this already. They are focused on solutions. They're born system busters. This new breed is interested in the practical aspects of healing the environment and seeing the physical needs of third density humans who still live on Earth. This is what Dolores Cannon called them, system busters. The new breed who are here to save the Earth, to rescue the Earth from the third density people who are still here. The deeply embedded skill which they bring through the birth process is to see more easily through this veil of forgetting. When they encounter neutrally or negative polarized thinking, they reject it. They have a firm grasp of the golden rule, and they do not use that to seek the solution of the cave or mountaintop. They are ready to stride into our meanest city streets on our bruised and battered countryside and make changes for the better. They are adepts in their making who needs no outer badges of sanctity, such as titles or uniforms. Jeans and a t-shirt will do nicely. And that's a nice place to leave this incredible book, and I will see you in the next part.